When people think of glaciers, they typically think of towering chunks of ice which advance and retreat across the landscape in a cold climate. Yet, in a select part of the world, there's a different type of glacier which is not made out of ice, but rather salt. And, just like glaciers made of ice, these massive salt glaciers advance across the landscape, moving at a speed of approximately 2 millimeters each year. And several of these salt glaciers are fairly large, covering more than 10 square miles. For example, one of these impressive features is 14 kilometers or 8.7 miles long and 560 meters or 1,840 feet tall. So, how did this salt glacier form? Why do salt glaciers move? This video will answer these two questions and discuss this geologic wonder. The various salt glaciers throughout the country are primarily found in a group of mountain ranges within southern Iran. The closest major city to these salt glaciers is Garash, which lies 35 kilometers to the west. The Zagros Mountains currently host at least a dozen of the more than 100 salt glaciers found throughout Iran. From satellite, many of these features can be spotted as they stand out against the lightly colored landscape. The beginnings of these numerous salt features started approximately 520 million years ago during the Cambrian period, when what is now modern Iran was the site of a shallow sea which was filled with salt water. Eventually, this sea retreated and the remaining water evaporated and left behind large amounts of salt in the landscape. Over the next several hundred million years, the vast quantities of salt were buried by more than 1,000 meters thick of rock. As this burial continued, something interesting occurred. Over time, the overlying sedimentary rock became higher and higher density as it further compacted. Meanwhile, only negligible increases in density occurred to the layers of salt. Eventually, the contrast in density between the two adjacent layers became too great, and as a result, the salt began acting like a very highly viscous fluid, somewhat similar to rhyolite lava, albeit much colder, in combination with regional compression creating a fold and thrust belt which helped start this process. Due to the differences in density, the center of the salt layer began rising to the surface. After breaking through the surface, it spread outwards, generally traveling down slope if starting on an incline, or spreading out in all directions like a pancake is starting on a flat surface. On average, these salt glaciers advance across the surrounding terrain at a speed of 2 millimeters each year. Thus, they travel a kilometer approximately every 500,000 years. The size of these salt glaciers is only limited by the amount of salt in the subsurface. Some glaciers have been emitting salt for hundreds of thousands of years, while others have been growing for more than 3.5 million years. And the edges of these salt glaciers are often quite tall, as for example, this salt glacier's edge rises 90 meters or 295 feet above the surrounding landscape. While many of these salt glaciers move at approximately the same speed, there is a difference between the rates at which new material rises to the surface.
This has been a Kinkinati production. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description.